I need a Benzo. I need a Rari in the Lambo. I need a Benzo. I need a Rari in Enzo. I need a Rari in the Lambo. I need a Rari in the I need a Benzo. I need a
HeroicSeoul, and I am back finally with an entirely new video for our life, beginning and always, featuring our created character Ellodie and our young Cove. Sorry, y'all, I just finished eating, so I gotta clear my throat a few times. So I know it's been a minute, and some of you might be a little confused as to what's been going on, but I'll leave the link to the previous video in the description. That way you can go take a look at that right quick, even if it's just at the very end, to really see how step one or phase one of our lives actually started. So it's been a couple of years, I believe now we're around like 12, 13, and Cove is still a little cold, but you know, we're getting into our friendship. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and jump into this because I am actually very excited. So it was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was as hot as ever, but you were inside and away from its harsh rays, as I should be. To be more specific, you were, ooh, so it's summertime. Y'all can even see how like the bedroom changed for us. It went from whimsical and colorful and playful to, you know, a little bit more clean, pristine, organized, and blue, which blue is my favorite color, even though yellow was my happy color, but you know, it's a vibe. So typically for me, I definitely would be snuggled up in my bed when it's really hot outside, because when it's hot, I don't like to be outside. So we can either choose snuggled up in bed, celebrating your time off by sleeping in, which, but then we have wide awake, about to head out and enjoy your time off. So let's just say, you know what? It's morning, it's summer, we snuggle. It is what it is. So it was hot, but you still had a blanket over your head to block out the sun. You didn't want it intruding on your lazy morning because we all deserve a lazy morning. Duh. Unfortunately, you hadn't prepared for an intrusion. From beneath the blanket, you heard the door creak open. It better not be my sister Lizzie. Like, it's up ever since she didn't want me to join her and her friends. No, my sister didn't grow up and look like this. You're still sleeping? Wow. Get up. I'm gonna mess with her. I'm gonna start to fake snore loudly. You didn't get out of bed and instead made some obnoxiously loud and totally phony sleeping sounds. It was pretty annoying, but she had bothered you first. Ugh, not funny. Get up now. I will come over there. So much for a lazy morning. Mom told me to tell you that your friend's at the door. Who coming over? He brought some happy summer gift for Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him. Say thanks or whatever. So Cole bringing me a little gift. Like, girl, I'm gonna get out of bed. Why you ain't telling me?
On.
I don't know who she thinks she talking to like that. Like she can't catch this fade. Like we are no longer kids. We're getting into, well, we're still kids, but we're getting into ourselves. And ma'am, I am 12, 13. I will fight. So in the previous season, because we're now in basically season two of this, because of the age that we're now like that we now are, we're a little fond of Cove. It's no longer like an indifferent feeling, but at the exact same time, we're like kind of warm towards him. So I'm gonna have her say, "Really, that's great. I'm coming." Really, that's great. I'm coming. There we go. Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what was instructed of her. So pause. Elizabeth used to go by Lizzie. As she got older, is she falling more so into Elizabeth? You rolled out of bed, stretching your arms up high and yawning. Time to get ready. You sat yourself in front of the mirror in the far corner of your room. All right, y'all. So this is just me being paranoid. Let me double check and make sure that I'm recording because it would be so embarrassing if I'm not. Okay. We are 4 minutes in, and I love it here. All right, so your reflection hardly even fit the frame. You're very tall. Your reflection went over the whole length of the mirror. You're pretty tall. Your reflection fit comfortably in the frame. Your average height. There was a lot of open real estate in the frame. You're pretty short. You had trouble getting your reflection to appear in the mounted mirror frame. You're very short. Mm, I want my girl to grow into things. So I'm gonna say that she's basically very, very short, but hopefully she increased her height a little later. You were even smaller than Derek. People were always surprised to find out that you and Cove were the same age, considering the almost comical height difference. Who was Derek? I think I read about him in like the DLC, but I purposely didn't even download the DLC because I didn't want to have no parts with Derek yet. That's gonna be like my own separate playthrough or whatever. If I'm not gonna spoil it, but if y'all want to know who Derek is, they did update the game around September, I believe, where they added interactions between you and Derek in this stage as well as in the final stage. So if that's something that you're interested in, y'all can. But my focus is Cove. So we're gonna see what the relationship between Cove and Ellodie becomes. It suited you well in your mind. So I like my height. It is what it is. I'm short. I'm a little girl, whatever. Then you put the finishing touches on your outfit while ruminating on the situation. Careless as they had been, Elizabeth's words piqued your curiosity. You planned on going over to see what Cove was up to, so this worked in your favor. Your reflection grinned back at you. You were looking forward to seeing him. You left your room, taking an easy time down the stairs. I really want to see how Cove interacts with me. Step 2. So we're getting a second chance by Shinedown. So if y'all don't know what second chance by Shinedown is, y'all need to listen to that song. Tell my love. Let me stop. But y'all, that song had me in a chokehold when I was I think I was in like middle school going into high school, but it had me in a chokehold. All right, so you spotted Mom first, reclining on the couch. She had held a magazine in her hands, which she was perusing through. Morning, Mom. I wish I could see a little picture of Ellodie. I mean, we created them, so they should have all types of combinations. She looked up at your greeting, a smile instantly appearing on her face. Thanks. Good morning, Ellodie. Thank you for coming down. So Mom looked a little different too. She said, you know what? I'm sliding my hair up. I'm gonna wear my little bun. Her lips got fuller. It's like she started to put a little bit of lashes on. As she took the glasses off, Mama stopped. Mom's at the door with Cove. He can't stay over today, unfortunately. Why don't you go and thank him before he leaves? Cove leaving? You nodded and made your way to the front of the house, just as she said. Mom was there making conversation. She must have heard you because she looked over her shoulder. Let's see how Mom looked.
Oh.
Look who finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Mom is beautiful as ever. Mom is just as beautiful as ever. I don't care. I don't care. Mom reached for it and you knew she was about to pat you on the head. She was taller than average for an adult woman, so at your height, you were absolutely tiny in her eyes. I'm gonna happily let her do it. It's my mom. Like, I'm not gonna act like all weird and stuff in front of Code. He know my relationship with her. But in the next phase, though, I'm gonna have to cut that off because I ain't a little girl anymore. All right, so that type of small affectionate exchange was nice. She placed the whole of her hand at the top of your head for a second before lifting it back up. You're the last one down today. You know what? You know that. Life isn't a race. Morning. I was going to stay in longer, so you're welcome. Sorry about the wait. What did we get? I'm gonna say sorry about the wait. Oh, there's no need for that. What matters is that you're here now. With a small laugh, Ma stepped aside. Y'all, I shouldn't have did that just now. I'm sorry. But y'all, why am I so nervous to see how Cove looks? Like, he was an adorable little child, but now that he's getting into his like preteen stages, like, I wonder how adorable he is for my little Ellodie. Cove was just as you remembered, exactly how you came to know him to be. Y'all, I am shook. Do you hear me? I am shook. He has no reason being that adorable. He don't have the cast on. Look at his hair. Y'all. 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 He is so freaking adorable. Y'all, I miss playing this game so much. I missed it. And he has, what is that, an edible arrangement? I don't know, but that's kind of cute that he brought this over to my girl. So maybe that's a sign. He leaned uncomfortably to the side in your doorway as the longer strands of his hair idly drifted in the breeze. He is so beautiful. His features were pinched in embarrassment, and he shifted from one foot to another. He was holding what must be the much talked about gift. At first glance, you figured it must be a bouquet of flowers. Then you gave it a real look. No, instead, it was carefully cut fruit. Y'all! I'm eternally screaming. I'm eternally screaming. Imagine if a really cute and adorable, like, teenage boy that you're crushing on because you're also a teenager. Let me emphasize that you're also a teenager. I could understand his embarrassment because, like, why the whole family got to stand around and make it a spectacle that he brought me some fruit cut, like, flowers or flower shaped fruit. There we go. But y'all, my heart is palpitating for my character Ellodie because this is cute. I don't care what nobody. This is cute. Cove, 1 point for Cove, and all the other dudes out there to do stuff like this. It made a lot of sense that it was actually from Cove's dad. You had to suppress a laugh at this showing. You couldn't imagine many folks buying that sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. They could have did without this part right here because I liked in my head to pretend that it was from Cove. I don't care, it's from Cove. That kind of arrangement was built for the presentation, likely to impress whoever was inevitably going to receive it. It seemed no matter how long he lived here, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be neighborly, and Cove will always be roped into participating. Kind of like how I was roped in. Y'all, give me 1 second because I really need to make sure that I am still recording, but that I'm also not too loud. Shout out to Steam Labs. Cove smiled slightly at the sight of Y'all, this is so cute. This is so cute. Cole smiled slightly at the sight of you. The sting of his goofy errands, he was clearly embarrassed to be on Eve. Hey, Ellodie. You earnestly grinned back. It wasn't weird at all, like it used to be when you were kids. As time passed, the two of you started to enjoy each other's company. Now you actually consider him a good friend and not someone you were forced to be around by your family. Hey, it's really nice to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too. Boy, let's go eat this fruit together. Like, I plop one fruit in your mouth, you plop one in my mouth. I kiss you on the cheek, you plop another fruit in your mouth shyly, like, and you were certain he meant that agreement. It was already shaping up to be another long summer with plenty of time for the two of you to have fun together. His awkwardness over the task seemed to creep back in, so Cove nudged the gift closer to you. He was ready to be relieved of it, and with that, the gift was accepted. Well, that's everything. Y'all, I freaking cannot. I freaking cannot. Though he said that he made no move to go, you could tell he was reluctant to. I'm gonna do it. We got thank you, thanks, and we're getting you are too cute sometimes. We're gonna say he's too cute because look at Cove and it matches the color of his hair. Like, come on now. Ellodie, just thank my dad for all this, okay? All right. Mr. Holden's behavior really was different from any neighbor you ever had, though after 5 years you were used to his antics. So let's say we're 13 in this part, right? 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Yeah, when we started out, we were 8. I believe it was mentioned before that we were 8 and like Lizzie was like 9 or 10. So we were 8 5 years ago. Now we are 13 years old. So it's kind of lit. And you since made up your mind on what your opinion was. But y'all already know what I'm going to be choosing, right? He was nice. He was sort of funny. He was pretty weird. You didn't like him. He was great. Or he was great and kind of handsome to boot. Duh. And the game developers knew what they were doing. The game developers knew what they were doing because why are all the cutesy choices that lean more into him matches the color of his hair? Let's be real. Though there were some things people didn't like about Mr. Holden, didn't mind them and liked him quite a bit. Were we talking about Cove or Mr. Holder? And even if he was Cove Dad, you couldn't pretend like he wasn't a nice looking guy. That was good too, but it was something you kept to yourself. Y'all, I should have kind of read more into the context. I thought we were talking about Cove. Apparently, we was talking about the father. But it's okay because sometimes we used to be like, oh, your dad is pretty handsome or whatever. And that was something that, we kept to ourselves with our way of thinking or whatever. But our focus is back on Cove because we're both 13-year-old kids in this game right now. And that's exactly who we're focusing on. I don't know why they had to put that last sentence. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. There you are. You shared a confused look with Cove as one. Both of you stepped through the open door into the neighborhood street. It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. You spotted Derek just a few yards down the road. He ran up to you. And who is Derek? I'm gonna say confused because why you gotta show y'all see what they're doing again? Like, and look at Cole's face. So it's matching. Like, you need to pick that one. But I'm gonna pick you were confused because who are you? What are you doing here? And you see my man that's not my man, but he about to be my man. Like standing here. What do you want? You hadn't expected to see Derek today, though. You never really knew when he'd appear. He kind of cute. He kind of cute, but my whole thing is Cove. Cove. Audience, this is me leaning towards Cove for y'all. Okay. I just want y'all to close your eyes and envision Cove. Cove. Okay? Cove. Not Derek, even though he adorable. After stopping a couple of steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. And then why would he say, there you are, like I wouldn't be in my house? Then he looked up with a wide grin. Boy.
Hey.
Hey, guy and gal. Get away from me. I was just at your house, Cove, but no one was there. Should have figured you'd be at Ellodie's place. Do you ever spend time in your own home, or are you always just there? So I'm assuming that they're the same age, but Cove is just unnaturally tall. Derek laughed at his own joke. He either didn't notice that it embarrassed Cove, or the embarrassment was that he was actually laughing at. Derek turned to you. He was going to say more when his eyes widened and he gasped. What's that? You follow his gaze, unsure. Then you realize what he meant. You were still holding Mr. Holden's gift. This is kind of like a bouquet of flowers, but made out of fruit.
Nice.
Can I have some? Like I haven't even tried it yet. Derek pouted at your words, not hiding his disappointment. Boy, I don't know you to care. Aww. Aww. Then he nodded his head as if to clear it. Anyway, that's right. I came here because I needed to say something big, massive. Like he paused possibly for effect. Okay, but we're all just staring at him like, what? There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird. Cove was as surprised as you were by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age had moved here since Cove did 5 years ago. Were they with their family? Maybe they were just cutting through. Nuh-uh. The new kid was all by himself, just walking. Did you talk to him?
Nope.
Nope. I came to report the sighting right away. Okay, neighborhood watch. The kid had green hair, glasses, was pretty small, and seemed really upset about something. I hope he didn't leave. You blinked. Slowly, you looked over to your longtime neighbor. That sounds a lot like you, Cove. When you first got here, anyway. Does it? He shook his head, dismissing the thought from his mind. Derek snickered good-naturedly. I can see that really well, now that you say so. But what did you say? Let's go find Cove's lookalike. We should all meet him.
Sure.
I'll do it. If Cove doing it, I'm doing it. Derek grinned, then he pointed down the street the way in which he came. Last I saw him, the mystery neighbor was going this direction. Nothing else needed to be said. The three of you were off with Derek leading the way, so I guess I'm just still holding. Okay. Derek brought you to the beach, and as a trio, you made your way down the shore to the old playground. You walked the familiar path in a comfortable silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright colors almost shone like a beacon beneath the rays of the sun. He scuffed around, kicking up the sand as he paced. It was true. He certainly seemed upset, but you didn't think he was sad like you had originally pictured. Now, with his erratic movements and scrunched up expression, he came off angry. You started to have doubts about this expedition. Maybe it'd be better if you left him alone and left him to sort himself out. You shared a look with Cove. He was equally reluctant to start up a conversation. Derek didn't feel the same. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy. So Derek is giving me the vibes of the little boy that used to hang out with Lizzie from season 1. But we don't know where he is. And I'm confused because if Cove was the last new person that came into the city, why is it in step 2 or season 2 are we finding out about Derek? Boy, you're not going to come in and try to see the folks that are easily swayed by a cute face would have ran to Derek. But no, see, I'm with the whole time and getting to know someone, and I'm already in with Cove. We're not official, but I'm already in with Cove, and it's gonna stay Cove. It's gonna be Cove all the way until the end of the game, and that's on period, point blank period. Per. Let me stop. Okay. So Derek didn't feel the same. He waved wildly, calling out the boy. Hey, guy, over here. The kid whipped around, an impressive scowl carving deeper onto his face. His eyes were tired, but a strong, hostile energy still radiated from him. Because if you try to fight me, I'm going to get Cove on you.
What?
And that's my cue to walk away because we came to check on you and make sure you was all right. But apparently, you irritated, so we just going to leave you alone because who you talking to? The sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet. What's your name? Jeremy. Was that it?
No.
I'm Derek. That's Ellodie and Cove. We were just walking around and saw you. We wanted to say hi. There aren't a lot of kids our age in the neighborhood. Yeah, so, it's cool to see someone else here. Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by your response. If steam could erupt from a person's ears, it would have been them. They did bring me somewhere stupid. Of course. I knew it. What? There's no reason for Cove to be that tall.
My parents.
They're the ones who brought me. I didn't walk to this town. Can you not figure that out on your own?
Right.
My dad brings me to Sunset Bird too, when he has to come for work and all that stuff. It's not bad. Okay, so Derek doesn't live in Sunset Bird. That earned him a glare from Jeremy. Derek winced beneath it, glancing away. It was a struggle to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy. I mean, I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation, probably, either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation. It's a waste of time. A chore. My parents' family is nearby, and we just had to come to see them. If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too?
I guess.
Ooh. That's a pretty good reason to come by. Do you want to go somewhere else? No. Jeremy crossed his arms with a huff, and he turned away. This is the definition of somebody that do not know what they want, because why are you, y'all, I'm paranoid, why are you that upset? Like, why are you that upset over the simple thought of being here? I don't get it. They should have gone by themselves since they cared so much and left me home, but I'm not allowed to be by myself. It makes no sense. They're the ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid. Like, the part of me that wants to say, like, who peed in your cereal this morning? Like, but then I also want to say you shouldn't talk about your parents like that because what is wrong with you? Who peed in your cereal? Jeremy's lips curled as his face contorted from anger to horror.
Disgusting.
Why would you think of something like that? It's disgusting.
Sheesh.
It's just an expression. He took a deep breath. You thought for one hopeful second that maybe he was calming himself down, but he was not. So what? You're putting it in people's heads. I don't want to have to think about it, and someone brainless might decide it's a good idea to actually do it. There are some real stupids out in the world, you know. You're all living proof of that. And just like that, I'm done with Jeremy. So I hope this game is not going to force me to be around this little boy. Hey, we're not stupid. Shut up. Shut your ass up. Like, yeah, let me stop. You first. You turn to Cove, lowering your voice. The two of you aren't that similar after all. Jeremy must have had good hearing though because he caught the private exchange and scoffed.
Stupid.
Of course we're not similar. My eyebrows aren't stupid. Cove cheeks flushed crimson at the insult. You couldn't be sure if it was out of embarrassment or anger or maybe even both. Come on. No, that ass. Like, how you talking about his eyebrows, but look at your hair? That ass, like, how you gonna say that when you got a bowl cut? Yep, it's embarrassing and awful, but my parents made me. I won't have to have it when I'm older. I don't know what he's gonna do with those things, except maybe shave them off. He probably should. I bet he looks less dumb with no eyebrows. Y'all, don't be mad at me, but I'm lunging at him. With your fish ball, you made a quick step forward. We ended this. He made it clear with He made it clear that words wouldn't work, leaving you to resort to action. You weren't sure what would happen, but you couldn't let this stand. Derek and Cove jumped in to stop you before you reached them. They each grabbed you by the arm. Still, Jeremy instinctively stumbled backwards. He practically fell over. If that's all you can do about what I'm saying, it's just proving I'm right. You're brainless. You were annoyed that the other two were against you on this and got in the way, though the reaction you had been able to get was still worth it. What's wrong with you? Instead of taking offense, Jeremy only parroted Derek's words in a nasally voice.
Wow, what is wrong with you?
Wham wham. This is dumb. Jeremy stuck his tongue and skulked away, throwing more sand everywhere as he went. You watched him go, hunched over, until he became a speck in your vision. Silence resigned in his wake. The three of you tried to process what just happened. I can't believe it. What a mean kid. Derek wasn't kidding, and by the sound of those earlier complaints, the new boy Jeremy was going to be in the area for at least a little while this summer. Derek sighed in dismay, plopping onto the ground. You followed, and Cove did too shortly after. There wasn't much else to do.
It sucks.
I was hoping we could meet someone fun, hang out maybe. He shook his head. After a moment, he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression. But you know what would really improve today? What? He didn't respond. Instead, he used a hand to point right at the fruit arrangement that you were still holding. So how am I about to square up for somebody else to catch a fade, and yet I'm still holding the fruit arrangement? You completely forgot about it during the mini drama that just unfolded. You had gotten used to the wait. Glancing over the Cove, you noticed he was eyeing the fruit. He must have wanted some too. We might as well eat it. Derek perked up immediately at your words. He reached out for a skewer, hesitating slightly once he was inches
Are you
away.
sure?
You nodded. With an eager grin, he plucked out a prime row of fruit. Cole grabbed one for himself after him. Only you were without a skewer of your own. Pineapples are cute. Grapes are okay. Strawberries, sometimes they're a little sour, but I love a good melon, so I'm gonna take the melon skewer. The melon was cut to look like a star. It was the obvious first choice. Derek ate a pineapple skewer enthusiastically, finishing it within minutes. I bet you Cove got grapes. Mmm, this is amazing. Cove continued munching on his, making a small noise with his mouth full. Hey, you two, remember the land before time? That fruit thing makes me think of it. The dinosaurs all liked the leaves that were shaped like stars. Okay, illusion. Tree stars.
Yeah.
Chomping leaves looked so delicious when they did it. And there was that scene with the pretty trees, and all the dinosaurs came in and picked everything off of them till there was nothing. That's us right now. Awesome. So we're dinosaurs. I love that movie. Me too. The three of you continued like this for the next few minutes. Eventually, the display was barren. It looked weird when devoid of fruit. Eating all of it made me feel better. Even if it was good, you weren't over the little drama earlier. Hey, Ellodie. Yeah. The two of you met eyes casually. I'm looking into his eyes. He looking into my eyes. Mm, mm. The feelings of no surprise. We're looking in each other's eyes. Let me stop. All right, so the two of you met y'all. I got some wine. All right, the two of you met eyes casually. Were you seriously gonna hit that guy? Well, he had it coming. Shit. Ellodie, that's so bad.
I mean,
I thought it was cool.
uh,
You're both crazy people. You knew when Derek said things like that, it wasn't serious. He liked you and Cole. Yeah. Derek then leaned back into his arms. He contemplated the sky with the content sky. So, are you both ready for summer break? Of course. Cool on you. Wish I could say the same. It feels like there's a lot to plan for. What about you, Cole? Are you ready? I think that depends. Before you could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered. Ellodie! You glanced over your shoulder to see your sister. She strode closer and closer, appearing none too pleased. I've been looking all over for you. Mom said you and Cove ran off with the thing that Mr. Holden brought for us. She leered over you with folded arms. So, where is it? Well, it's gone, sir. What you mean? What do you mean gone? Excuse me, y'all. You move over to the side to face her completely. She zeroed in on the bouquet in your hand, which was now populated exclusively with skewers dripping in juice and tiny flecks of leftover fruit pieces. Her mouth dropped open and the tone of her voice rose.
what?
Seriously, Ellodie? What were you thinking? It was supposed to be for all of us at home. She glanced at Cole, who sat beside you, and continued mockingly. Even if you did have an in with the delivery boy, this was up to Mr. Holden. Cole gave you a bent smile of support, which didn't help to disprove her accusation. I mean, we were hungry. Elizabeth narrowed her eyes, not at all okay with that kind of response. Uh, oh no. I think I hear the mean kid coming back. We better get out of here. Elizabeth blinked, confused, and looked around. What kid? I don't see anyone. Derek didn't bother explaining. He just launched to his feet and ran off. Cole hopped up too. Gladly taking the opportunity to exit the situation, he followed after Derek, but he sent a look to you from over his shoulder. You turned to watch Elizabeth. She stared back, brow raised. I'm running. Without a word, you two got to your feet and bolted down the beach. Unimpressed, Elizabeth rolled her eyes.
So immature.
And is? She shook her head as she walked towards the house, not bothering whatsoever to follow. Meanwhile, the three of you made it back to the shoreline. Derek pumped his fist, grinning in triumph. We escaped and shall live to see another day. Victory screech! SpongeBob would be so proud. You threw your arms up in celebration. You chuckled together, walking further down the beach, side by side. You definitely wanted to stay outside a little longer. You had gotten a bit of a scolding from your moms for not saving any of Mr. Holden's gift for Elizabeth, but you didn't get any real punishment for it. Instead, while you were out with the boys, Elizabeth returned home to share the news. The three of them went to get dessert on their own. It was declared even by your parents when everyone got back and the event was settled. That was a while ago now. Later that night, you found yourself seated near the kitchen counter. The phone! The phone is ringing. The phone will be right there. There's an animal in trouble. There's an animal in trouble. There's an animal in trouble somewhere. Your fingers drummed the surface as you waited, your gaze trained on the phone. You were waiting on a call tonight, specifically from your cousin Leandra. You didn't want to miss it accidentally. Your uncle, aunt, and Lee used to live many hours away. Your families only saw each other a few times a year for big occasions. A while back, though, they moved and were closer to you than ever before. You now hung out regularly. With school being out, you're positive she's going to want to come over a lot. The two of you were the same age and got along well. She used to be really fond of Elizabeth too, but now that your sister had become allergic to interacting with her own family, it tended to just be you and Lee who spent time together. She my only friend as a girl, because all I got is Cove and that little boy named Derek, but I'm really focusing on Cove. You weren't all that close with any other girls your age, but you didn't really have a lot of friends either. Mom always said that quality was more important than quantity when Elizabeth bemoaned your small social circle. You weren't sure how friendship quality was judged, but nevertheless, you thought that what you had with Lee was good. Then the shrill ringtone announced an incoming call. You jumped before grabbing the receiver and pressing it to your ear. Evergreen resident, Ellodie speaking. You were greeted by a distorted, high-pitched giggle. Why does it sound so weird? She's adorable, but low-key, y'all, I was hoping that it would be Cove calling. I ain't even gonna hold you. Mom answered the phone like that sometimes. It's supposed to be polite. You should go with hi. That was something a robot would say. There was static on the end as if Lee was shifting whatever she was. So can you believe school's actually over? I thought it'd never be done. Now we don't have to do any of that boring stuff and we get to just hang out whenever we want. Speaking of hanging out, Lee, can you wait a second? Let me just head to my room. Yeah. You got up from your seat at the counter. Luckily, the phone was wireless, so you didn't have to worry about the cord sounding down. Your mom's had a rule about not moving the phone unless the call was in progress, which is why you'd been sat by its cradle waiting for Lee to call. You didn't like it, but it had to be that way. It had to be that way. You weren't the only person here. If anyone could take the phone anywhere at any time, it'll make even a bigger hassle. You can easily imagine a receiver having a new forever home in Elizabeth's locked room. But now that Lee had called, it was okay for you to go upstairs to your bedroom and talk to her. You made your way up the stairs, smiling. After you arrived, you shut the bedroom door firmly behind you. You took a seat on your bed. All right, I'm here.
Cool.
Hey, did you know that the girl down the street from me has her own phone now? a cell phone. She doesn't have to wait for someone else to stop using it or anything. Wow, really? The thought of someone having a phone that was all their own seemed unbelievable to you. Right. I wish I had one too, but my parents said I couldn't get my own phone until I was more grown up. I wish they changed their mind. We could call each other every single day and no one would be able to stop us. How great would that be? It'd be really great. We could even stay up late talking about whatever we want. Lee sighed thoughtfully into the receiver. At least they said I can have it someday. I can't wait. She sighed dramatically. I bet I'm not going to get one until I'm all the way in college. Squeezing the phone between your shoulder and your ear, you puffed up your pillows and made yourself more comfy. It was strange to think of a time when normal school would be over and you want to have to choose whether or not to go to college. School was such a big part of your life right now. Studying didn't come easy to you, though you tried hard. You worked about as hard as most people and got pretty average results as well. You never tried much, but you still didn't do that bad. You didn't bother at all in school, and your grades reflected that. Everything in your class came easy to you. You worked hard for your excellent grades. Y'all ain't gonna hold you. So I'm not trying to make it seem like Ellodie is like the most perfect young scholar and things like that. But as far as me and when I was a child, I never failed a class and I always made A's and B's. So I'm just gonna say that like everything in the classes came easy for you because I paid attention in school. Like I paid attention, I took notes, I asked questions, I did what I needed to do. I'm torn between both of these, so give me 1 second. All right, so you worked hard for your excellent grades. Every A plus you brought home was a result of concentration and diligence. You hope that you will be able to keep it up through high school. You felt a lot of pressure to maintain the high grades you had last year. You hope to do just as well this year, but it wouldn't be a big deal if they dropped some. You were confident your grades would remain great, or you had no plans of getting excellent scores. I'm confident my grades gonna stay great. You could easily keep, you could definitely keep the streak going. I just loved school, y'all. I loved education. I loved learning, and I didn't want to make things harder for my own mother by, receiving phone calls. Oh, your child's not doing this. Your child, I'm not doing that to her. So I just paid attention, and it just so happened that my grades were always good. Yeah. You tried to sound engaged, but your mind had decided to go back to school despite the season. Lee knew you too well to be. You sound so spacey. Just thinking about school. Lee groaned. Are you thinking about how you don't have to think about it because it's summer? That's what I'm doing. I mean, no matter how much you wanted to enjoy your free time, the creeping dread of knowing that it would come to an end was always there beside you. I get what you mean. Though I guess school isn't all the way bad. You can do some things there. You just have to do more when school's out. If I didn't go to school, I'd never meet anybody new. No one really comes here. Uh-huh. I just wish everyone did okay with how they talk to things, not just some people. Me too. Lucky, mine's boring. I'm not talking about gym because I hated gym. And that's pretty much everything that's good about school. Okay, point taken. All right. Well, now I decree the topic of school is officially closed. We have to talk about this summer first before we start plotting the rest of our lives. I've got some plans already. Ooh, tell me, girl. I'm going to visit my cousins. You chuckled, of course. What's something you want to do? The first thing that comes to your head. Mm. Yeah, I'm torn because I love reading. I don't care what season or whatever, but in the summer it is too hot for me. So I do like to stay inside, but I do know I need my sun for my melanin, and just for my serotonin. So I think what I'm gonna say is, I mean, my girl, she used to draw in the first portion. I want to spend time with people, but let's be real. Sometimes we have some real good shows, so I'm really torn. Mm, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna spend more time at the beach because I mean, meh. I'm gonna catch up on music too, reading. I got some art supplies. I'm gonna say I'm gonna catch up on movies and some television. I need to do that too. You lean back onto your bed, settling in as you continue chatting with your friends. Friend, this is my cousin. Even though it hadn't been that long since you saw her and you'll be seeing her soon, you found plenty to talk about. For one, the events of the day, you sat up straighter. I was with Cove and Derek today, and we met a new kid, like at your neighborhood. His parents are visiting family, so it sounds like he'll be around for a little while. I don't know how long. What was he like? He acted so upset about every small thing. I don't think I want to meet him. You want a boy to stay away before even meeting him? That's an unexpected twist. Your cousin was very popular with the boys who knew her. She seemed happy enough to have them around until they started to annoy her. Who are you to talk? Cove and Derek are always around. They're both boys, you know. Lee laughed at your silence, deeply amused. Even though she couldn't see, you shook your head at her, grinning to yourself. There was a stomping noise approaching your room, heralding the arrival of your irritated older sister. She flung the door open, a frown etched onto her face.
Come on.
How long are you going to hog the phone? So why is your door locked, but I can't lock my door? You just get to walk in. But if I walk into your room, you'll have an issue. Girl, glancing at your watch, you realized that your quick call had gone on much longer than anticipated. Elizabeth held out her hand, the other one lodged onto her hip. She noticed the realization on your face. Time's up. Gotta go. I'll see you soon, okay? Okay, see you. Tell Elizabeth from your mom's I said hi too. You barely pressed the end call button when Elizabeth whisked the headset from your fingers and began dialing someone new as she strolled out of the room. Your mom's voice called from downstairs. Hey, has anyone seen the phone? I'm using it. With that, she shut your door behind you. Silence was left in its wake. There was one way to end your first day of summer break. Sometime later, it had gotten dark outside, and you laid in bed wide awake. Your window rattled all of a sudden, startling you badly. You flinched, staring over at it with furrowed eyebrows. From your vantage point, you saw only the moon in an open sky. You were confused. What had caused that noise? Frowning, you sat up and moved closer to the window. You might as well find the reason behind the disturbance. To your utter shock, your gaze was met by a pair of familiar ocean blue eyes. Cove? You squinted. Yep, Cove was right outside your window. Your house was very angular and some parts stuck out further than others, so it theoretically wouldn't be hard to climb around on. Still, just because somebody could didn't mean that you expected it to ever happen. Look at Cove coming to visit me. Should I let him in? If I get the option, I'm letting him in or I'm crawling out there with him. To his credit, Cove was doing fine. His feet were braced against a section of the wall that jutted out, his arm flexing with the efforts to keep him upright. He easily lifted a hand and waved at you from the other side of the glass. You hurriedly opened the window. Cove climbed over the ledge, releasing a breath once he was safely inside. Hey, Ellodie. I should say, what's up, Romeo? Or amazing, my dreams have come true. I'm gonna say my dreams came true. Ellodie, I wanted to see you. I figured this was the only way. If I rang the doorbell, I know your moms would have answered and they'd just make me go home. I didn't really want to explain why I was coming over anyway. I don't want to talk about it. Well, beside with you, I mean, but that's why I did that. As unexpected as this was, you were touched. Cove felt like he could tell you what was wrong. I might have tried calling or something, except my dad was on the phone. Cove suddenly looked very cross. Dad, he was talking to my mom. Still is, probably. You raised your eyebrows. Cove had eavesdropped on his parents' phone conversation. Cove shrugged nonchalantly. Yeah, you should talk somewhere private if you wanted to stay private. Are you going to stay with your mom for a while again? Every year, Cove was sent off to live with his mom for a few weeks. When it happened, when it happened varied. Sometimes he would go during winter breaks, but usually he went during the summer. Even though it was hard news when you found out he was leaving and you missed seeing him those weeks, you understood. To your surprise, however, he shook his head. That's what I thought too, but no, that's not what they were saying. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said she could come stay here with us. You waited for him to continue, but he didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped off. You couldn't help but stare at Cove. There was a complicated mix of expressions on his face. I could see why, because their divorce finalized his parents. And so he usually goes to see his mother, even though his father was awarded full custody. At the exact same time, Cove is old enough to understand what a divorce is. So even though they still have to co-parent, it might feel a little odd for him to have both of them back in the house because it's not a normal situation. So it can't be faked like it's normal. So I understand Cove's mixed expressions. What did your mom say? She told him she'd come. I know she's coming soon, before school starts. You had heard Cole talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'd tell you about past memories or what happened while he was visiting her. Still, it was one thing to hear about someone and another to actually meet them. Very soon, you were going to see Cole's mom in person. You were taken aback by the news, so you could only imagine how Cole felt. You looked over at him. He was pacing across your room, his features pained with dread. Before, they barely stayed in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now they're going to be all together again, the three of us, after all this time, just for a few weeks. I know I probably should be happy they can talk to each other now. I'm still not. I'm just confused and freaked out. And now I feel really bad for feeling this way. Ellodie, it's so... His fist tightened and his eyes became misty. I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time already and I'm not a little kid. Though he wouldn't meet your eyes, you knew he was waiting for you to say something. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad. This is hard to deal with. Cove looked uncomfortable about the whole situation. He didn't want to have to open up like this. Thanks. And I'm sorry for dumping this on you. I didn't know what to do. You were the only thing I could come up with. A momentary silence fell over the two of you. You marveled at how the day started. You had awakened up eager for summer vacation, but now things seemed so crazy. The mini debacle with Mr. Holder's gift, the newest addition to the neighborhood being so rude, and as if all of that wasn't enough, now Cole's mom will be living with Cole and his dad again. Your whole life was kind of like that, it seemed. Complicated and hard and different. Why couldn't things just be better with time? Ellodie? The sound of your name, said quietly, pulled you from your thoughts. Cove gazed at you concerned.
Are you okay?
Who, me? I'm more worried about you. You don't have to forget about yourself for me. I want to listen to you too. Cove grinned reassuringly. It was small and delicate, but you knew it was genuine. He had come here conflicted and upset, only to end up worrying about you. He really was a great friend. You know, I think I don't want to talk anymore about this. He looked away, his lips thinning into a line, and rubbed at his arms. But I kind of don't want to go back home either. Could I stay a little longer just doing something else? He appeared equal parts hopeful and vulnerable. How could you possibly turn him away? And I won't. And I won't. This takes me back to a time in season 1, aka step 1, where Cove came over and we were in the bed and we were reading a book to one another under the covers. Maybe he needed a bedtime story. Of course, you can always stay here, Cove. I've got a flashlight and some cards. Are you in? He can always stay. You held his gaze confidently, hoping your words got crossed there. Cove perked up at your response, a smile appearing on his face. He immediately took a seat on your bed, not afraid to get comfortable in your room. You felt a little better at the sight somehow. You still had a lot of worries, but you were glad he was here. And not just tonight. You were glad he came into your life in the first place. That was a change you never want to undo. You would have thought Cove would mean so much to you. Who would have thought Cove would mean so much to you? You certainly hadn't in the beginning. You had kept your distance, and so had he. Now you considered him to be one of your closest friends. You joined Cove on your bed, taking a seat across from him. He smiled at you again, but you could tell this time it was half-hearted. He was still easy to read. Though he didn't want to talk about his mom and dad, he must be thinking about what happened and what's about to happen. Should I hug him or take his hand in mine? I'm gonna take his hand. I feel like that's more, because a hug gives more like, you're my friend, I'm always here for you. But taking his hand and holding it, that's a different level of intimacy. So you took his hand in yours. You stretched your short arm out. They didn't have to say short. You stretched your short arm out and gently held his hand. It wasn't much, but you hoped the contact helped even a little. Cove blinked, startled, before his expression softened into something more natural. Conversation was stilted and broken often by silence at first. Then both of you were able to get into your usual candor. As your secret hangout session stretched on, you thought that you truly wanted to keep having moments like this with him. You hoped a day would never come when life decided that the two of you would have to part ways, and you knew Cove felt the same. You opened your tired eyes, groaning as they'd adjusted to the bright light that was streaming through your window and warming your brown skin. I'm glad that they said my girl skin was brown. Because y'all acknowledging her melanin, like, I take out the ma. Lizzie, take out the ma. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple of times, clearing the sleep from your eyes, before realizing with the start that it was actually morning. You couldn't remember even falling asleep. Cove had crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together, trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but couldn't put a finger on exactly when. You wondered how late Cove had stayed before heading home. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and get ready for the day, or stay snuggling up for a little while longer, until your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair, and you bolted upright and gasped in surprise. He never left. He was still there in the morning. Your muscles refused to move an inch, and your eyes widened as you stared at Cole's sleeping form in absolute shock. If your mom found out he had slept here the entire night, you'd both be in big, big trouble. Realizing quickly that you needed to get Cove out of here before your mom or Elizabeth walked in and found him, you wheeled your body to get a move on and swung your leg over the side of the bed. A girl, whisper in his ear. Cove, wake up. You whisper his name softly but urgently, and his eyes snapped open as he woke with a start. You scrambled out of the way as he abruptly jumped to his feet before almost losing his balance and falling back down. He recovered just as quickly and faced you indignantly. Hey! What was that for? Shh. What? The situation dawned on him too before he even finished the word. Cove blinked at you a couple of times, his eyes growing in panic as some thought that only he could hear settled on his mind.
Oh my God.
I fell asleep. You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace your room, looking around frantically. Cove stopped mid-step, and you wanted to ask him what he had been searching for, but you guessed he wouldn't know the answer to that himself. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere still frazzled. You just need to leave before anyone notices you're here. If they knew, we would have heard about it already. Cove nodded, his shoulders tensed as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in exasperation. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke. I'll see you later. You were confused by how all of this played out, but hoped that was true. Right. Bye, Cove. At that, you were suddenly wrapped up in a tense embrace. As panicked as he was, this seemed to be something he couldn't forget before leaving. Thanks again. You're a good friend, Ellodie. He firmly whispered the words into the top of your shoulder. But you were let go before you had a chance to respond or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he had climbed over your bed and opened the window. A cool breeze rolled off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with its salty scent. Cove fearlessly stepped out onto the ledge. Good luck. Be super careful. You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other with increasing speed until his form disappeared out of sight. You stuck your head out the window as far as you could go to try to keep watch. He walked the full length of the ledge before jumping down to the top of the garage, then lowering himself onto the fence. From there, he finally dropped to the ground. You threw out a thumbs up at his successful climb. He ran towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. You had to admit that you were pretty impressed at how doable he made that look. With a little sigh, you reclosed your window, deciding there was nothing more you could do. You hopped off your bed and got ready to head downstairs for the day. Girl, make your bed up. It was a habit of yours. You straightened up your sheet, smoothed over your comforter, and fluffed your pillows before stepping back and admiring your work. You took the stairs, slowly attempting to mask your face into a look of innocence. You were sure that someone would come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but you couldn't be too careful. You had to play it cool. When you stepped into the living room, Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger on the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth. She looked over at you immediately, her eyes squinting at the greeting. Why are you being so weird? You hadn't even done anything. Your big sister never missed a beat, unfortunately. You turned and offered a tight smile, and her lips pursed together even tighter. Ellodie? I'm not. You spoke so nonchalantly you almost thought she believed you, but you knew better. Further suspicious squinting occurred as she waited for something. But ultimately she rolled her eyes, and you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't seem to care enough to dig further. Whatever. And then she walked straight out the front door, letting it slam behind her, and you let out a brief sigh. Elizabeth went out most days to hang out with her friends from school around town. Today, you were extra glad for it, though you were almost grateful she hadn't left the house any sooner. Though you were also grateful she hadn't left the house any sooner and risked running into Cove. It looked like you were getting away with that. Breakfast was eaten in peace and alone. Your moms were both out by the time you had gotten up. They had left you a serving of food from the breakfast they made: hash browns, an omelet, fruit salad, and there were a few sausage links. Girl, we eat everything. Shoot. We'll refocus our eating habits when we're older. It was tasty. You appreciated that there was a variety in the meals your moms made. The day lazily drifted by at home, and eventually your parents returned. You opened the fridge again, lingering in the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice cold water and taking a long drink. It was a perfect, balmy summer afternoon, and you had decided to head outdoors and find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was just yet, but you were sure something would pop up to occupy your time. As you were heading out the front door, For a moment, you hadn't seen Cove since he left that morning. And you couldn't help but think about what happened to him. Would it be bad to go over his house right now or to call him to check in? You stepped out of your house, still stuck in the internal debate with yourself, when a voice caught your attention. Hi, Ellodie. Confused, you looked over to where an unrecognizable woman was waving at you, a friendly smile plastered on her face. Please do not tell me that Cove's mother all of a sudden just popped up the very next day. You racked your memory from where you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. Not your school or from the country club your parents took you to. You had absolutely no idea who the woman was. The woman crossed the road towards you, and you were a little unsure whether you should stay put or go back into the house and lock the doors. Oops, I'm sorry. Was that presumptuous? I've heard about you, but you have no idea who I am, do you? You shook your head, and she removed her sunglasses to reveal sparkly ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden, she seemed a little more familiar. My son lives here, and my ex, too. With a bent smile, she lifted a hand to point at the condo across the street from your own house. She was Cove's mom. You didn't know why you hadn't realized sooner, now that you've gotten a good look at her. So now that I've looked at her, I see that this is actually Cove's mom. Like, this is his mother. Like, his legit mother. So I think that that's really cool. And his mom is super pretty. This beautiful lady was Cove's mother. Wow. It was kind of crazy how both his parents were that good looking. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt taken aback that she had appeared here so suddenly. Cove mentioned she was coming, but you hadn't gotten the impression it would be the very next day. She extended a hand again, this time for you to take, and you studied the manicured fingers in front of your face and the assortment of bracelets that dangled on her wrist. I'm Kyra Priest. You can call me Kyra. You reached out and took her hand, and she shook yours firmly, grinning wide. I'm Ellodie, but you already knew that.
That I do.
Cove's mentioned you to me before. It's nice to officially meet you, Ellodie. Cove talked about you to his mom. He hadn't mentioned how he said things about you to her. She smiled at you fondly, her eyes crinkling at the corners. Oop! The sound of a door opening and closing caught both your attention, and when you turned towards the sound, it was to find Cove exiting his house, his eyes skimming the ground. Considering just how tall he had grown, you kind of figured his mom also would have been tall, but she was much more on the shorter side, for an adult anyway. Cove's height must have come from his father.
My baby.
There you are. I thought you were going to keep me standing out here all day. You tried to catch Cove's eyes as he walked towards you, but his gaze was firmly fixed on the sidewalk. It's like he's awkward seeing his mother, but I don't know if it's just awkward because I'm here as Ellodie meeting her. When he finally crossed the road and looked up, he gave you a pitiful look. After the way he acted last night, you knew he must be feeling a little, pretty mixed up about this. You tried to wordlessly express that you understood. Cove and I are heading into town to grab something to eat while the snore is at work. Kyra beamed at Cove and ruffled his hair, which only seemed to upset him more. You assumed the snore she was talking about was Mr. Holden. Hey, you should come with us, Ellodie. I'd love to get to know you better. Yeah, you should come. There was a pleading in his tone that you couldn't miss. Of course we'll run it by your parents first. Responsibility and all that.
Hey, whoosies.
It'll give me an excuse to meet them, which I need to do at some point. It's important to be neighborly if I'm going to be roosting on this street for the time being. Any hooties, let's go. Kyra walked ahead towards your house, and you hung back with Cove, who crinkled his nose as he watched her. I'm sorry about her, but I really do want you to come. I don't want it to be just the two of us. Not right now. You leaned in closer and whispered while checking around for anyone who might hear. What happened? Did your dad know you were gone? Cove shook his head and sighed heavily. Dad was so focused on Mom showing up that he didn't even notice. I thought when I heard them on the phone last night that it was something they were planning for the future. This morning, Dad said it was supposed to be a surprise, and I guess I was surprised. She's going to be here all summer. Oh? You were surprised to hear that, too. Cove sighed again, even heavier. I'll go with you if you really want me to. He smiled, his shoulders relaxing a little in relief. Thanks. That'd be cool. The two of you headed over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind her. Mom appeared to the door after a minute, her eyebrows lifting in surprise at the group she found in front of her. You realized that, like you, she would have no idea that it was Cove's mom who was hanging with you. However, after blinking at the woman a couple of times and looking between her and Cove, the realization seemed to strike on her. Hello there, I'm Pamela.
I see.
I see you've met my kid, Ellodie, and I'm guessing you've already known Cove for a while. Kyra laughed, and you and Cove exchanged looks at your parents' weird sense of humor. I'm Kyra Priest, Cove's mom. It's nice to meet you. A head of purple-brown hair caught your eyes as Ma popped up behind Mom, squeezing herself in beside her. We have company. I was wondering what all the commotion was. She grinned excitedly at Kyra. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands.
Hello.
Hi, Ellodie, Cove. Hi, Ellodie, Cove. Cove smiled at Ma shyly and she gestured a hand towards the living room. There's no use hanging around the doorway. Why don't you come in? I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat, and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise visit. Cove grimaced and held back a groan. He likely took offense at how she didn't want to put them out with a surprise visit, but not him, apparently. I understand. You're welcome to stop by anytime. I'll take you up on that offer when I can. Count on it. Would you mind too much if Ellodie went with Cove and I, my treat? We won't be driving, just a quick walk down the road. Sure, that sounds nice.
Have fun.
I hope you all have fun. You gave your moms a look, and they smiled at you fondly. You were happy they were letting you go. You could tell that Cove really needed the support, and you were ready to be there for him. Expect us back in an hour or two. We look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Your parents waved goodbye to the three of you as you backed up onto the street. There was the sound of the front door closing behind you. I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in the taxi not too far from here.
Yeah.
It's a tourist town, isn't it? There's a lot of them around. Kyra put her hands on her hips and smiled at her son. You sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a place nearby? Not really. Kyra pouted at him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, Ellodie? Want to point me in the right direction? You nodded. You've been to a lot of places in town, so you knew a couple of good ones. There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorite. There's also a tropical themed place that tries to be sort of fancy. Both sound like a treat. I'll leave it to you to pick for us, since Cove is going through a phase over there. He huffed to her and turned his face away. I'm going to insist that Cove contribute to the decision because we are a team, Cove. It's okay, Cove. Tell us which one you want more. He mumbled sulkingly, willing to reject his mom, but not you. I like the tropical place more. That's what I would have gone for, too. With 2 votes in favor of the restaurant, it seemed like it was settled. We can go there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellodie. Will you show us the way? You nodded, taking the lead of your little group as Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together, the 3 of you left the neighborhood behind. The walk was about 15 minutes, and along the way, Kyra asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Kyra explained that she lived in a large city and she loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed in Sunset Bird. The restaurant was busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Kyra lowered herself into the chair while Cove picked the one diagonal to her, not facing her or to her side. It was awkward. Let's see, to start, what would you all like to drink? I'll get an orange soda. Ellodie? I want a juice. Which flavor? I'm gonna get some lemonade. I feel like lemonade is the official drink for the summer, so let's get some lemonade. Sure. Kyra placed the order for your drinks, getting a black hot coffee for herself, and it didn't take long before they were brought to the table and sat in front of you. You took a long sip of your drink as you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked over the menu, deciding what to order. The last time you came here, the dish you ordered was amazing. You wanted to order something different this time. Kyra and Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon, the meals too were ordered and the menus taken away. You glanced at the table surface, waiting to figure out what to say. Cove looked like this was the very moment he had been dreading, sinking back further into his seat and crossing his arms. His sour feelings today were unignorable. Instead of asking more open questions he brushed off, Kyra had mercy on her son and instead put her focus towards you.
So,
Ellodie, what's a few things that you're into? There's got to be something you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. Jesus! I wish they would have had I like to read. Oh, they do. They do have I like to read. I'm torn between I like to read and write because what if this question right here is setting her up for her future? I don't want her to be somebody that does music. I don't want to be her to be somebody that does art, fashion. I feel like my girl just like dresses. I'm gonna say I write things. A fellow writer. Writing is a good form of expression, don't you think? Kyra sighed wistfully, her eyes going soft. I also like to read. Poetry. Sophisticated beyond your years, I see. Manga. I haven't heard of that style, but I'm sure it's very good. And fiction novels. Me too. Nothing beats curling up with a good book. I also really like to watch plays and movies. I also like she do spend time. I go to the beach and build sandcastles, which sounds like a lot of fun, and look for seashells. And then I also like music, of course. I'm gonna say that I'm torn between piano and violin. I'm gonna say the violin. It's the beautiful instrument. And I'm really into Cove. Kyra let out a sudden laugh and Cove cast beside you. It was a dramatic enough inhale that he almost choked on the soda. You shrugged at the reaction. It was a truthful answer to the question. Ellodie? Cove whispered at you disapprovingly, obscuring part of his face with the hand, but Kyra only waves him off and encourages you to go on. We spend time together when we can, and I like it. Well, we have something in common. Kyra smiled at Cove, who didn't look too impressed by either of you at that moment. I still spend time studying. I don't know a lot of people who enjoy that, but hard work is the key to getting what you want in life. I also I spend time on art, drawing. I filled out a lot of sketchbooks. I also am going to say I create digitally. My computer at home doesn't really have all the programs I need, as well as visiting galleries. I like looking at other people's art, but we only have a small gallery here. I hope one day I can travel to all the big ones. And I'm going to say fashion. I'm going to say I love jewelry. Yes, it's hard to resist those tiny little treasures. She lifted her wrist as she spoke, jingling the many bracelets that were around them. I also love makeup. It's so fun to experiment with looks. And then games. Definitely board games. I, of course, love video games, but I'm gonna leave my character kind of different from me. And then, of course, you don't say anything else. I'm happy to learn more about you. So basically, I like writing. I love poetry. I love reading. I love watching the television. I also love fashion. And I like Cove. So what exactly did Cove say about me? Kyra laughed, holding a hand in front of her mouth. I can't tell you that. I didn't come all this way to embarrass my son too much. Kids are delicate at this age. She laughed again, and you glanced at Cove to see his reaction. He gave her a dirty look, eyes narrowed into thin slits. Hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air, you decide to ask Kyra a few questions of your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her, and you were curious to know more about this woman who was such a big part of his life. What exactly do you do for work? I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work. What do you like to do? Spend time with my little boy, of course, and traveling. A real shock, huh? Nevada. Have you ever been there? You shook your head. It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can. That's not my business. I'm not that dumb enough to ask that. I feel like Cove would be mad if I asked, are you in a new relationship now? If she was in a new relationship, she probably wouldn't agree to come and actually live with her ex. Because there's a plethora of hotels, and if she's travels and writes for a magazine, she has to have money. So I'm just not going to ask any more questions. Cove sipped his soda angrily, slurping up the remaining drink with a furrowed brow. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. You weren't sure if coming along had ended up making the lunch better or worse. Let's make a silly face at him. You stared at Cove until he glanced at you in annoyance, and then you lifted your nose with the finger and poked out your tongue. It was subtle but you swore you could see a hint of a smile tilting the corner of his lips.
Very cute.
You two seem really cute together. Cove covered his face with his hands and leaned back into his seat.
Seriously?
Why would you say that? The way she said that embarrassed you. You weren't prepared to have Cove's mother describe the normal interaction the two of you had as cute. Your meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was so delicious. Even Cove enjoyed his food. All right, now that we're all full and content, can you explain, please, why you had a bug on your butt all day? Cove's face instantly returned to its scrunched up form. Seriously, baby, what did Mom do to make you this mad? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to make eye contact. The words he spoke were barely audible over the din of the restaurant. You could have told me. She leaned forward, but not miss anything else, eyebrows raised. Told you what? He finally seemed to find his voice and spoke the thoughts that had been on his mind. that I wasn't going to visit you this year, that you were going to be coming here instead. Didn't you invite me? You wanted me to be here with you. Cove's eyes began to shake and his frustration ebbed. I do want you to be around, but I didn't know it would be like this. It's not the same, and nobody said anything.
I see.
Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed her hands in front of her on the table. We've both been gifted another Clifford surprise. Referring to that as a Clifford surprise almost caused you and Cove to crack a smile. You also had no idea his name wasn't just Cliff. Over 5 years, nobody had ever called him Clifford until now. Child, why was I over here thinking about Clifford the big red dog, and this whole time it was him, Clifford Holden. She smoothed her hair out, not letting go of her stern look. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They let out identical sighs, but smiled weakly at one another afterwards.
I'm sorry.
I can go home, Cove. We can still set up a normal trip to my place before the summer ends. Cove's lips closed tightly closed together. He seriously pondered the option. I think I do want you to stay. I miss it when you're not there. My heart. She reached across the gap, grabbed his face, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Cove tried to wiggle away. Mom, stop. I'm sorry. Sweet young men need to be smooched by their parents. If I don't, they'll take away my mom license. Cove was completely enthused by Cove's admission. Kyra was completely enthused by Cove's admission, though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation continued. Do you want to talk to your dad too?
No.
Cove had snapped the word instantly, but reeled his annoyance back just as quickly. Maybe later, not today.
It's all right.
We can shelve it. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for talking to me, little mister. She grinned affectionately at him before turning away. And thank you, Ellodie. Huh? What did I do? It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's harder to keep that up with your neighbor watching everything. Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. She winked. Mom. She just ruffled his hair with a laugh, then moved her hand down to tap the end of his nose. And that's just how the issue was resolved, at least between Cove and his mom. When the three of you left the restaurant and Kyra had paid the bill, you walked back to your neighborhood slowly. You had eaten so much by that time you were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that the lunch had happened late and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. When did his hair grow? But eventually you reached your street. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival. Clifford, the big red dog. All right, welcome back, family, and Ellodie too. Cliff, Dad. The two of you walked past him into the condo without sparing another word. Despite the summer heat, their shoulders were cold. I'm in trouble. He rubbed the back of his neck with a crooked smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on after them. He's so much like his mom, don't you think? You gave a vague nod, not sure what he was expecting you to do. He nodded back far more energetically. Okay, have a nice night, Ellodie. You too, Mr. Holden. With that, Cove's dad disappeared to join the others inside. It was your turn to go home now. Summer hadn't started off at all how you imagined it would have, though it turned out to set the tone well. Having Kyra in the neighborhood was a new experience for not only you and Cove, but also both your families, and a dull moment was rarely had. So I guess we made it to the end of step 2, and I see that we have this DLC right here. So the DLC that I have are Mall, Birthday, Summer Work, Escapade, and Soiree. But the ones that I have that are locked are these, and I think that these are Moments with Derek. But again, I'm not downloading Moments with Derek until I finish out the full game, and then maybe I can see if I'm still leaning towards Cove or Derek. So I still have 10 moments. and that's going to be a couple of episodes depending on how long the moments are. But I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you so much for coming with me through this moment for us to get excited for season 2 of Our Lives Beginning and Always. With that being said, I hope that y'all have a wonderful day. Stay great, stay amazing, and please remember, do not talk the strain.